I'm surprised all of these people that said that they wasn't rocking with Trump, because I remember this woman was one of the moderators for one of the debates over there on NBC. She was one of the moderators, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. And Trump is pulling up even before he hits office, and he's granting interviews. He's speaking very, very clearly to the people. You could tell that he's more confident than ever, that he's relaxing. But he pulled up on NBC to talk about his first 100 days. This was an over hour-long interview, but I want to go ahead and get into a little bit of the beginning of it. Check it out.
President-elect Donald Trump, welcome back to Meet the Press.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for being here. You are the first president since Grover Cleveland to win non-consecutive terms. Republicans now have control of the House and the Senate.
Right.
Why does she seem so much more jovial now that the election is over? She didn't have the same type of energy when the election was going on. That's just my impression of it.
What do you plan to accomplish in your first 100 days in office?
Well, we're going to do something with the border, and very strong, very powerful. That'll be our first signal, and a first signal to America that we're not playing games. We have people coming in by the millions, as you know, and a lot of people shouldn't be here. Most of them shouldn't be here, but we have jails being emptied into our country. We have mental institutions from all over the world being emptied into our country. So we'll be doing that. We're going to be extending within that period, or as soon as we can, the Trump tax cuts, because, you know, they're coming due and they're very substantial for people. And it would be very, I think it will anger a lot of people, frankly, if we don't get an extension of that. That's what led us to one of the greatest economies ever. And those two things are going to be very vital, very important. We're going to be focusing on crime in the cities. And we'll work with Democrat governors. Most of them are, as you know, if you look at the 25 worst places, they're just about all Democrat-controlled cities and states. And we're going to be working with Democrat governors and Democrat mayors. And I look forward to doing it. But we have to do something about crime, and mostly in our cities. And we're going to have a lot of other things. We'll be working on nominations. We're going to still be working on some nominations. I think they're going very well. We have, for the most part, I think they're going extremely well. It looks like Peter's doing well now. I mean, people were a little bit concerned. He's a young guy with a tremendous track record, actually. He went to Princeton and went to Harvard. He was a good student at both, but he loves the military, and I think people are starting to see it. So we'll be working on his nomination along with a lot of others.
I think that he makes a great point about these Democratic cities, but this also shows you that he's not out for retribution. I seen in a later part of this interview in a clip where she asked him about pardons for January 6 people, and she also asked him about, Kamala Harris voters. And he spoke pretty well. And he said, listen, I'm the president of the American people, and so it doesn't really matter whether you voted for me or not. I'm going to treat you the same, if not better, than I treat my own people, because how you go is the rest of the country. And that is a complete different perspective than what he was painted as. He was painted as a person that was going to go after his enemies and retribution and all of that. And he ain't got none of that type of energy. He already the president-elect, and ain't nothing that nobody can do about it. They tried to kill him. They tried to take him out. They tried to do all of this stuff, but he has no bad will or energy towards the very people that tried to prevent him from getting into office in the first place. When you hear him speak, so for example, he said, look, we got to get the people out of here that's criminals. We got to get the people out of here that's doing the wrong thing. They dumped a lot of these people from their prisons. They got bad backgrounds. They horrible people in society. Some of them has killed more than one person. I'm not sure what you disagree with. For the people that actually don't like Trump, I would be curious, now that you can put away your bias, now that DL Hughley is not selling you on 2000 Project 2025, now that we don't have Ricky Smiley fear-mongering you because he's not getting a check, now that Roland Martin and all of the visibility that's died around him because he got his little $350,000, now that Al Sharpton got done robbing taxpayers for his bit. Now that everybody got paid and everybody got rich and they quiet now because they're going to be benefiting from the Trump tax cuts, the very ones that sold y'all on the Kamala Harris machine are the ones that's going to be benefiting the most. Now that you're able to see him and remember what happened in 2016 and remove all of your emotions from what you then are experiencing now, and you see him calm, cool, collected, and kicking it without any opposition, what are your thoughts of him? What are your thoughts of him saying, listen, I want to work with the Democratic mayors of these cities. I want to work with the Democratic governors because the facts show that these people are under the most duress. And I would love to work with them so that we can make sure that we get these people out of their cities that's not supposed to be there, that's committing all of the crimes and driving up the homicide rate and the problems and the violent crime.
We are going to delve into your nominations, but since you bring him up, do you still have confidence in Pete Hegseth?
Yes, I do. I really do. He's a very smart guy. I've known him through Fox, but I've known him for a long time. And he's basically a military guy. I mean, every time I talk to him, all he wants to talk about is the military. He's a military guy. I used to kid him about it. I didn't think he would be in this position where he may be, hopefully will be Secretary of Defense. But every time I was with him, he was fighting for soldiers, where he said some soldier was unjustly put in prison because they were really doing what they were taught to do, in some cases. So, yeah, I think he's going to do fine.
The fact that there are these allegations against him, misconduct, sexual misconduct, heavy drinking, the fact that he said to some senators reportedly he'll stop drinking if he gets this job, does that worry you?
No, I think that everybody has something that they can stop. Some people can stop eating. I'm lucky I'm not a drinker, but I could stop eating. And we all want to stop doing something. And if he said that, I mean, it's a nice thing to say. That's a good thing to say. But he's very respected. I can tell you, I know a lot of the people at Fox, they think he's fantastic. And the people that work with him, really, they love him. So I think you're going to have somebody that's really terrific. And again, all he talked about with me, I said, you know, you're not really a television guy, even though he did very well, as you know. You're really a military guy. He said, I'm all about the military. And I told him, so he's making a lot of money at Fox. They're doing very well. And I said, you know, if for some reason you don't get this thing, you're not going to be able to go back. And all that money you're making, you can kiss it goodbye. He said, this is all about America. You know, he didn't say, well, let me think about it, let me discuss it. That's a very big, risky thing he's doing. When he goes and
That's a fact.
He says, I'm going to give up, you know, millions of dollars in order to possibly become the Secretary of Defense.
Listen, you a better man than me. He a better man than me. Think about that for a second. This is why certain people don't ever want to get involved or run in any political race or anything like that. You know why? Because they making way more money, millions even every single year, to do what we already been doing. Why? Why would a person, unless they truly, truly, truly cared about the country, unless they just had it all together, they've been making money for a long time, they don't really care about the money no more. Why would a person give up millions of dollars unless they truly, truly wanted to serve their country? Think about that for a minute. Listen, that's a hard press. I thought about running for mayor of the city of Detroit. I ain't even gonna lie. I don't think I'm ready. I don't think I'm ready. I think in 10 years, I'll run. 10 years from now, I'll run for the city of mayor, probably mayor of the city of Detroit. And then maybe after that, we'll go for governor. 10 years mayor. Let's go 16 to 18 years, we're gonna go governor. All right. And let me tell you why. I'm not ready to give up the bag. No, I'm not. I'm not ready to give up the bag because the city, let me see. The mayor, obviously, it'll be a jump, hopefully, in pay. Detroit mayor salary. 202,000? $224,000 by 2025. $225,000. You mean that I can't do what I'm gonna do on a daily basis, and I gotta spend my daytime actually governing a whole city and making sure that the police department is supported and that the people is taken care of and all of this? Shamalala. Oh Lord, give me a sign. Give me a sign. Let's just go for 2042. Let's go 2042. No? Hell no. That mean that I gotta, you know what type of sacrifice that you would have to make to do that when you are successful? See, if you're just a community advocate and that's a come up. If you just a community advocate or something and you don't know what you're doing, oh man, I like to go to the community. I like to go and canvas and talk to the people and all. That's cute. That don't mean that you understand business. That don't mean that you understand how to bring people in. That don't mean nothing. All right? So almost gave me a heart attack right there. I got rebuked that. Almost had a breakdown. So you got to truly be a patriot to give up that type of money is my point. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out.
A lot of people would say it's a great position. It's probably almost
I'm going back to school. I'm gonna go back to school. I want to know everything that I could possibly know and put myself in a position from a political perspective to take care of it. I got a 16 to 20-year window of what I want to do. You know what I'm saying?
no greater position. But a lot of people would say, I have to think about it. He said, I don't have to think about it.
All right, we're going to delve
Somebody said
into
that needs
your
some money.
cabinet picks a little bit later.
Whoa. 225? We did 225 over the last, what, 2-3 weeks? No, 225 over the last 3 weeks, right? 225? Shit.
But I want to delve into one of your signature promises on the campaign trail, which was to end inflation, to lower prices. You are now proposing tariffs against the United States' three biggest trading partners. Economists of all stripes say that ultimately consumers pay the price of tariffs.
I don't believe
Can
it.
you guarantee American families won't pay more?
I can't guarantee anything. I can't guarantee tomorrow. But I can say that if you look at just pre-COVID, we had the greatest economy in the history of our country. And I had a lot of tariffs on a lot of different countries, but in particular China. We took in hundreds of billions of dollars, and we had no inflation. In fact, when I handed it over, they didn't have inflation for a year and a half. They went almost 2 years just based on what I had created. And then they created inflation with energy and with spending too much. So I think we will. I'm a big believer in tariffs. I think tariffs are the most beautiful word. I think they're beautiful. It's going to make us rich. We're subsidizing Canada to the tune of over $100 billion a year.
No, that's a
We're
problem.
subsidizing Mexico for almost $300 billion.
Why will we continue to do that? Why will we continue to do that? Why will we subsidize Canada for over $100 billion a year and Mexico for over $300 billion a year? And they can't even get their borders together. If I was Mexico, it's yes sir, no sir. If I'm Mexico, it's yes or no sir. Because if you're subsidizing and it's at a trade deficit of $300 billion, the least I could do is control the borders. The least you was on the border, sir. I's gotcha. I's gotcha. No, oohs, don't you mess with the United States of the Americas. No, you don't. They's a good trading partner. That's a good trading partner right there. Ain't no way in the world I wouldn't be getting the control of the borders. Ain't no way in the world I wouldn't be getting things together. 300 billion. Ooh, no, 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 no. China. We likes we likes the United Statesians. Ain't no way. Why would you want to mess that up? You don't fumble the bag under no circumstances. Do you fumble the bag? I'll step in a minute when somebody about to fumble the bag. Sitting there with two of my partners, and one person is he the lower worker, and the other person is the top dog. Hey, listen. We let you get your stuff off. Show some respect. Give me a second. Let me smooth this out real quick. Hey, man, come over here real quick, bro. Hey, we ain't even tripping off of that, man. That's so small beans. I step in and mediate in a minute. I am the mediate king. Because the number one thing that I be thinking of, what is going to happen with the bottom line? I don't deserve it. Shut up. Before you get replaced. He didn't mean it. He just tripping over there. Listen, let's talk about this over dinner. You want to? I got a driver for you. We gonna make sure that everything is taken care of. Here's some tickets to the game tonight. When the last time you took your girl to the game? And then the girl be over there. He ain't took me out in so long, man. What you got up tonight? Hey, listen. I'm gonna get y'all set up. I'm gonna call my host. He gonna make sure that everything is taken care of. Y'all go have a good time, man. You ain't. Let me deal with this. I'll take this together. All right, see y'all. Y'all crazy. You crazy. And once they leave out, man, what's wrong with you? Man, what is you doing? All of that ego and bro, I'm telling you. Listen, we can go out back right now. Seriously. We can figure it out, but I need you to have a much, much better attitude when you come back in here. Oh, then hey, Anton, they come up. Hey, y'all forget something? Oh, I knew you forgot something. Y'all, wow. Hey, let me know how that game is, all right? Nobody about to play with y'all. Ain't nobody messing with y'all. We got a bag to get. You know what I'm saying? Mexico over there fumbling the bag. Canada's over there trying to figure it out. Get y'all lives together before we have to tariff y'all. You know, I love me some tariffs.
We shouldn't be subsidizing. Why are we subsidizing these countries? If we're going to subsidize them, let them become a state. We're subsidizing Mexico, and we're subsidizing Canada, and we're subsidizing many countries all over the world. And all I want to do is I want to have a level, fast, but fair playing field.
Sir, your previous tariffs during your first administration cost Americans some $80 billion. And now you have major companies from Walmart, Black & Decker, AutoZone saying that any tariffs are going to force them to drive up prices for their consumers. How do you make sure that these CEOs, that these companies don't, in fact, pass on the cost of tariffs to their consumers?
They cost Americans nothing. They made a great economy for us. They also solve another problem. If we were going to have problems having to do with wars and having to do with other things, tariffs, I have stopped wars with tariffs by saying, you guys want to fight, it's great, but both of you are going to pay tariffs to the United States at 100%. And they have many purposes, tariffs, if properly used. I don't say you use them like a madman. I say properly used. But it didn't cost this country anything. It made this country money. And we never really got the chance to go all out because we had to fight COVID in the last part. And we did it very successfully. And when I handed it over to Biden, the stock market was higher than what it was just previous to COVID coming in. It was actually higher. Tariffs are properly used, are a very powerful tool, not only economically, but also for getting other things outside of economics.
Well, again, prices did go up on some goods in your first administration, washing machines, tires. Will you punish CEOs?
Let me just explain to you. No. You mentioned washing machines. So you look at Whirlpool in Ohio. I got a call from Jim Jordan, one of the greats, congressman from
Look at
Ohio.
him name dropping. You know somebody got receipts when they start name dropping. I'm going to read these cash apps shortly.
And he said, they're going out of business because South Korea and China are dumping washing machines into our country. And I put a 50% tariff on the washing machines coming in from China and South Korea. And Whirlpool and the companies that made washing machines, which are based in Ohio, largely based in Ohio, went through the roof. We saved thousands of jobs, tens of thousands of jobs. They were all going out of business because they were dumping washing machines. And when I put the tariffs on, they became successful businesses. No, it didn't. Not only didn't it cost people, it made our country stronger and more powerful, and it kept jobs.
But how do you
And that's beautiful. And I know that that's true. You know how I know that that's true? Because there was a lot of people that was anticipating getting laid off in Benton Harbor, Michigan from Whirlpool Manufacturing. Yep. I got friends that work in Benton Harbor, Michigan. Literally a stone's throw, you can see Ohio, not Ohio, Chicago. You can see the Chicago Bridge. Literally, you can get quicker to Chicago from Benton Harbor, Michigan, than you can over to Detroit. And I was talking to a lot of my friends over there, and they were telling me that they was anticipating getting laid off. And one of the things that saved them was the tariffs that he's talking about. So when you wonder why the state swung over and they turned red. When you look at some of the rhetoric that was happening from the Kamala Harris Biden campaign, it was empty talk because the people then started to suffer a lot more under the new administration than all of the benefits that came along with being under Trump. Now, he can't control everything. He can't save every single job, but he can do his part to make sure that he wards off other countries dumping cheap products over here so y'all can feel good about going to Temu when you could have shut the pest up and continued to run up a bag, and then your mama and your daddy could have still had a job if we hadn't shipped off American jobs and sold off the cheap products that we not going to use and that's going to break down in a year from now anyway. He's absolutely right.
make sure that consumers don't wind up paying more? Will you punish CEOs who try to pass the cost of tariffs on to their customers?
Well, the market's going to take care of it. I mean, actually, the market takes care of it. And if it doesn't, we adjust it somewhat. But in the case of Whirlpool, or let's say companies that made washing machines, they were all being put out of business by the dumping from, in particular, South Korea and China. And when I put the tariffs on, very substantial tariffs, although peanuts compared to what people do to us, what countries do to us, it became a very, very powerful, successful company. Now, let's say I didn't do the tariffs. It would have gone out of business. You would have lost tens of thousands of jobs, and you don't include that in your equation. No, they make a lot of money. I'll go a step further. Tariffs are going to make our country rich. Tariffs are going to help us pay off $35 trillion in debt. Tariffs are going to make our country safe because China, as an example, doesn't want to play games with us if we're going to do tariffs on them. They don't want to play games. And we have a lot of games being played on us right now.
Well, I think, and that takes me to my next question. Yeah. Are you actually going to impose these tariffs, or are they a negotiating tactic?
Well, I'll give you an example. With Canada, and in particular Mexico, we have millions of people pouring into our country. You agree with that. I spoke with I spoke with Justin Trudeau. In fact, he flew to Mar-a-Lago within about 15 seconds after the call ended. At Mar-a-Lago, we were having dinner talking about it. I said, you have to close up your borders because they're coming in the northern border, too, a lot. Not like the southern border, but they're coming in the Canadian border a lot. And drugs are pouring in. Almost as importantly, drugs are pouring in, maybe more importantly, drugs are pouring in at levels never seen before, 10 times what we had. They're just pouring in. We can't have open borders. And I said to the president of Mexico and to Justin Trudeau, if it doesn't stop, I'm going to put tariffs on your country at about 25%. That's a very substantial tariff. And in the case of, in both cases, but in the case where it was really visible, within 10 minutes after that phone call, we noticed that the people coming across the border, the southern border, having to do with Mexico, they were at a trickle, just a trickle. It was, in fact, I call the border. See, unlike my opponent, I do call the border a lot. And I said, how's the border looking today? They said, there's nobody here. They couldn't believe it. The military stopped these vast groups of people. You know, we call them caravans. But they had caravans of people, and they largely stopped them. Now, they're going to have to continue that. But if they don't continue, and the other thing I told them is no more drugs. And I told that to China, too. I had to deal with President Xi. Had the election.
Isn't it crazy how he's already managing? See, he don't get no credit, and I just don't understand it. I can't figure it out for the life of me why he doesn't get any credit. Think about this for a minute. Trump doesn't get inaugurated until January 20th. He's already president of the United States of America. Biden is over there falling asleep over there in Angola and Africa and continuing to launch missiles over in Syria. Trump is negotiating and having people from other countries fly to Mar-a-Lago. He's talking to the border. He's having conversations with Xi Jinping. He's talking to Claudia Sheinbaum. They're not even negotiating. At the G20 summit, they forgot Biden was there. He's already the president of the United States of America without even taking office yet. He's managing the country. He's negotiating everything that happens, and people are basically calling him and making adjustments, and they fly into his residence before he ever takes office inside of Washington, D.C. Do you not want this guy as president that's really making sure that we stay safe and keeping things at bay? Think about that for a minute. He don't even get into office for another 42 days. 42 days.